Antonio French joins us, St. Louis Post-Dispatch columnist, sits in the editorial board. Good morning, Antonio French.
Hey, good morning.
So we've been talking about this Cora Faith Walker story for now last couple of times you've been on the show. The editorial in your newspaper now is agreeing with Tim Fitch that there needs to be a outside independent investigation. Sam Page, St. Louis County executive, says no, the city can do it. But your newspaper is saying it's about time somebody from the outside comes in.
Well, yeah, I mean, somebody needs to do it, and you're getting such contradictory information, especially from the public safety director, Dan Isom, who has said that, a week or so ago, he said that they were looking into it, like and investigating like they normally would any other suspicious death, only to come out a few days later and say, in fact, the St. Louis Police Department is not investigating it. We've, from our reporting, learned that DEA had been looking into it. Dan Isom then comes out and says, well, actually, that DEA officer who was looking into it was actually a St. Louis City cop, and he wasn't looking into it formally for either the DEA or St. Louis City Police. Okay, so I guess he's moonlighting like, Angela Lansbury in Murder, She Wrote or something. And then you got, he said that there's no federal investigation. Then we learned from reporting from KSDK that, in fact, the coroner, the medical examiner, had in fact authorized the U.S. Attorney's Office to get access to the preliminary toxicology report, which he himself, as a medical examiner, says he has not seen and did not know what it included, although the public safety director reports that it says there was no drugs involved. So, yeah, at this point, it's clear that the normal procedures, at least, are not being followed. And if St. Louis Police Department cannot or will not perform an investigation, somebody should, and that should probably be the state.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is we know that she collapsed in the hallway, and there was another man who left before she emerged from the hallway. This, according to Dan Isom. That man or that person isn't a suspect. But as you pointed out, how do you know he's not a suspect if you didn't find out about it till 5, right? What was in the hotel room? What wasn't in the hotel room? Your mind starts to race. Maybe she was drugged. Maybe she was this. Who knows what would have happened? We don't know unless there's some type of investigation.
Correct. And there's so many questions now, so many public questions, so much attention on this matter. I understand that there is a desire on some to protect the privacy and reputation of both the victim and people associated with the events surrounding her death. But that is not the role of the police department. That is not the role of the public safety department. That's a purely political matter there. And when you start talking about preserving the reputation or the interest of politically connected people, that shouldn't be what drives or kills an investigation. At least that's not how it's supposed to work.
And then Sam Page comes out, I think it was Channel 4 had the story where he doesn't want the state to investigate. It was one of his closest advisors. I would think this man would want to find out as much as he could about a coworker, right? Well, somebody who worked for him and with him. I'm surprised he wouldn't be calling for an outside investigation like so many others.
Well, listen, we know that the St. Louis City Mayor and the St. Louis County Executive basically share the same political team. And so they have shared political interests and are influenced by the same political consultants. And so they are on the same page quite often politically on things like this. But, we're 2 weeks in here, and nobody can still say why she died. And that really is just not how it works. I mean, there should be some kind of investigation to at least give some reasonable explanation for what happened. And it is reasonable to think that, if she did collapse and die in the hallway, it might be connected to, what happened or what was in the room or who was in the room. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered. And this is what happens when you're a public figure. Yeah. People have a public interest.
Let's switch over to this Tisaby story, which is, you don't get any more bizarre than this story. Now, Kim Gardner is going to be up on ethics charges next month. But this Tisaby, getting ready to seat for the trial, takes a plea bargain. Now you got Eric Greitens crowing like he's innocent again. This whole thing from the word go was so poorly prosecuted that they ultimately had to let Eric Greitens, they dropped charges against Eric Greitens because Kim Gardner was going to have to testify in that trial.
Yeah. This is another embarrassment for the Circuit Attorney's Office, to be sure. Now, Tisaby, the former FBI agent who was hired by the Circuit Attorney's Office to help with the investigation of the then governor, he and his attorneys claim that really it was not any malice intended in any attempt to conceal documents. They say basically it was just an error. It's just a guy who was kind of overwhelmed by the data and just had misplaced or forgotten that something existed. Now, there's no excuse at all. I mean, every defendant, even the governor, deserves a fully functional Circuit Attorney's Office who is able to present any evidence and provide disclosure for any evidence that they've come upon. So, what was clear back then when that case fell apart was that the Circuit Attorney, and she was new at that point too. I mean, only had been in her first year, had really bitten off more than she could chew. And even since then, we have now learned even more problems in the Circuit Attorney's Office regarding staffing and general organization, even involving homicide cases. But yeah, you got Eric Greitens out there who has his own troubles again, who is happy to jump on this plea to say that, look, it was all nonsense. Now, it was not all nonsense. The handling of the evidence was handled poorly by the Circuit Attorney's Office. But the facts of the case, I mean, a lot of those facts have even been corroborated in the last week by his ex-wife.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's not like he was innocent in the whole thing.
The interesting thing about this Kim Gardner ethics hearing, I guess, or the trial, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be heard by the Missouri State Supreme Court. She's defiant at saying, she's not saying, oh, my goodness, I messed up, I apologize, let me make the correction and move on. She's defiant in saying she did nothing wrong. And so if you're up against an ethics committee and they think you were wrong in your ethics and you're defiant that you're not, I mean, this could be a nuclear option where they could legitimately take her law license away from her.
Well, I don't know if they'll come to that, but yeah, she's going to have to do some explaining, and it's warranted in a case like this too. I mean, anytime evidence is being kept from the other side, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Now, there's a lot of people who may not have any sympathy for this particular defendant, but still, the system is the system, and the process is the process, and the Circuit Attorney is really supposed to be the protector of that process on behalf of the public. So there was a failure, and Tisaby is going to have to answer for his part in it, and the Circuit Attorney is going to have to, she has some explaining to do.
Yeah. Do you think this new revelation about from Eric Greitens' ex-wife, do you think that hurts him with the voters or helps him with the voters?
That is a question we've been asking for a while here. Part of it, the sad fact is that part of even the behavior that she describes, which many of us find very offensive and appalling, kind of baked into his brain at this point. Anybody that continues to support Eric Greitens after some of those allegations many years ago, obviously they know what they're signing up for. The question is, what percentage of the Republican voters in that GOP primary are those type of folks? That's the question.
Yeah. Lots to dissect in all this. Never a dull moment around here. STL Today opinion writer Antonio French also sits on the editorial board. Antonio, good stuff this week. Be safe. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, take care, guys.